Welcome to a journey unlike any other, one that will uncover secrets that have been veiled in mystery for centuries. Tonight, we delve deep into a cosmic tale where the boundaries between science, spirituality, and the unknown blur into a captivating story of guardianship, healing, and destiny. At the heart of this story lies a truth so profound yet so elegantly simple that the animals we've invited into our homes are not merely companions or pets. They are silent sentinels of the universe, sent to protect, guide, and heal us during times of great need. In particular, we turn our attention to a creature that has, for centuries, captured our curiosity and wonder: the cat. The year was 1943, and Edgar Cayce, a man with extraordinary abilities, lay on his worn leather couch, his body still, but his mind traveling through dimensions unknown to ordinary human consciousness. What he would soon reveal through trance-like whispers would challenge everything we know about the world around us. The cat, he said, was more than it seemed. It was a cosmic ambassador, and its mission? To protect us all when the time came. In the year 1943, a quiet, almost eerie stillness filled the air of a small study in Virginia Beach. Edgar Cayce, known to many as the Sleeping Prophet, lay upon his worn leather couch, his body at rest, but his mind traveling far beyond the constraints of the physical world. His breathing was slow and rhythmic, a deep, meditative pulse that seemed to echo through the room. As he slipped further into his trance, his conscious mind receded, and what emerged was a voice, distant, otherworldly, yet filled with a profound wisdom. Cayce had spent much of his life in this state, unraveling secrets of the universe that few could comprehend. But what he would reveal this time would be unlike anything before. His voice, soft and ethereal, began to speak of a mysterious connection between humanity and the animals with whom we shared our lives. The cat, he said, as if the very word carried with it a weight far greater than its simple meaning, is not just an animal. It is a sentinel, a divine creature placed here with a purpose beyond understanding. As the room grew darker with the fading light of the afternoon, Cayce's words became more urgent, resonating through the very fabric of the universe. He spoke of a time, not too far in the future, when the world would be on the brink of a great spiritual awakening. In that moment, when the shadows of doubt and despair threatened to engulf mankind, the cat would serve as a guardian, not of the body, but of the soul, a silent protector, standing at the threshold between the material world and the unseen realms. For hours, Cayce remained in this state, revealing fragments of a grand cosmic design, a design where the cat, in all its mystery, played a pivotal role. And yet, as he whispered these truths, they would remain hidden in the archives of the Association for Research and Enlightenment for nearly 8 decades, waiting for the world to be ready to hear them. As Edgar Cayce's trance deepened, his words began to paint a picture far more extraordinary than anything that could be grasped by conventional thought. The cats, he revealed, were not mere pets. No, they were something far greater. They were divine creatures, beings imbued with an ancient cosmic purpose. Their role was not just to sit by our side as companions, but to act as sentinels, guardians of our souls, placed on this earth by a force far beyond our understanding. You see, Cayce continued, his voice carrying an almost melodic quality, the cat is a bridge between worlds. It is a being attuned to frequencies beyond human perception, attuned to a cosmic plan that we are only beginning to understand. They carry within them the keys to our spiritual survival. These words seemed impossible, even to the most open-minded listeners. But there was an undeniable gravity to Cayce's trance, a sense of truth that could not easily be dismissed. He spoke of the cat's unique ability to tap into energy fields that were invisible to the human eye, but that governed the very fabric of reality. Cayce described how, in moments of deep crisis, when humanity's soul teetered on the edge of despair, these feline guardians would emerge as silent protectors, standing watch at the threshold between the known and the unknown. The cat, Cayce explained, was not bound by the limitations of time or space in the way humans were. Their very presence carried a vibration, a frequency that resonated with the heart of the universe. When humans found themselves lost in the dark, unsure of their purpose, the cat's presence would guide them, offering comfort and solace through an ancient, instinctual connection. They could, in a sense, remind the human spirit of its deeper origins, reconnecting it to the cosmic source of all life. At first, Cayce's revelations seemed fantastical, even bordering on delusion. How could such a simple creature, one that often appeared so aloof and mysterious, have such a profound connection to the cosmos? But as Cayce spoke, it became clear that the mystery of the cat was not just physical, it was metaphysical, a mystery that spanned time and space. They are, Cayce said, his voice growing softer, the keepers of the vibrations that hold the fabric of reality together. They are the silent witnesses to the unfolding of the great cosmic drama, and they are here to guide us when the time comes. For hours, Cayce continued, unraveling the depths of the cat's spiritual nature. He spoke of how their bond with humans was not random, but rather a deeply interconnected relationship, one that spanned lifetimes, rooted in a higher purpose. This, he explained, was why cats seemed to know when their humans were in pain or distress. They were instinctively tuned to the emotional and spiritual needs of those they chose to live with, offering their presence and their soothing purrs as a balm to the wounded soul. In these moments of revelation, the room felt charged with a quiet, unseen energy. Cayce's trance was not just revealing hidden truths about the cat, it was unveiling a truth about the very nature of existence itself. The cosmic blueprint that connected all things was slowly coming into focus. And at the center of this grand design stood the cat, its purring a gentle hum that resonated across the dimensions, linking humanity to the mysteries of the universe. Dr. Sarah Chen had always been a skeptic. A brilliant physicist trained in the rigorous discipline of quantum mechanics at MIT, she dealt only in what could be measured, tested, and proven. Her life was governed by empirical evidence, mathematical equations, and the unyielding rules of science. The idea of spiritual revelations or mystical beings was, to her, nothing more than superstition. But that was before Schrödinger. Schrödinger, a mischievous tabby cat, had entered Dr. Chen's life in the most unexpected of ways. She had adopted him from a shelter, unaware of how profoundly he would alter her perception of reality. At first, Schrödinger was like any other cat. He would curl up on her lap during long nights of research, offering comfort without asking for anything in return. But soon, something strange began to happen. It started subtly. Dr. Chen would wake up in the morning to find that her work, the complex equations that had kept her up for days, had somehow been solved in the hours she had been asleep. It wasn't that she had suddenly had a breakthrough during her slumber. No, the answers simply appeared in her mind, fully formed and perfect. The math wasn't just correct, it was beautiful. It was elegant in a way that transcended logic, as if the universe itself had whispered the answers to her while she rested beside her cat. The first time it happened, she dismissed it as a coincidence. She had been under a great deal of stress after all, but it kept happening every night. Schrödinger, as if guided by some unseen force, would curl up next to her, his soft purring vibrating through the air, and the next morning, solutions to problems that had eluded her for weeks would appear in her mind as though downloaded from a cosmic database. It wasn't just math. It was insight into the very fabric of reality, as if Schrödinger were tapping into something beyond the human understanding of space and time. "Impossible," Dr. Chen whispered to herself, looking down at the cat who lay innocently at her feet. Cats can't solve equations. Cats don't know quantum mechanics. But Schrödinger's behavior wasn't limited to these strange occurrences. The more Dr. Chen observed, the more she began to notice something deeply unsettling. The cat seemed to have an innate sense of her emotions, particularly her stress levels. When she was frustrated with her work, Schrödinger would appear at her side, curling up next to her with a soft purr, as if offering comfort. When she felt overwhelmed, his presence would calm her, as if he was absorbing her anxiety and converting it into peace. His purring, which she had once thought to be merely an expression of contentment, now felt like something more, a frequency, a vibration that soothed her mind and spirit in ways that no human intervention ever could. Dr. Chen was both fascinated and terrified by what she was experiencing. It wasn't just that Schrödinger was providing emotional support. It was as though he was channeling some deeper, unexplainable force, a force she had no words for, no scientific explanation to grasp. She began to question everything she had ever known about the boundaries between science and the unseen world. Was it possible that the cat was more than just a passive creature? Could it be that Schrödinger, this simple house cat, was somehow tapping into the cosmic frequencies that Edgar Cayce had spoken of decades ago? Determined to uncover the truth, Doctor, Chen began a series of experiments. She set up electromagnetic field detectors around her apartment, devices that could measure even the subtlest shifts in energy. What she found was staggering. Whenever Schrödinger entered a room, the electromagnetic signature of the space would shift dramatically. The readings were unlike anything Dr. Chen had ever seen. The patterns weren't random, as she had expected. They were structured, almost like neural networks, operating on frequencies that suggested intelligence far beyond what she had previously believed possible in an animal. The data she collected, when analyzed, showed complex energy fields that resembled the quantum entanglement patterns she studied in her work. Schrödinger wasn't just a cat. He was somehow interacting with the quantum field itself in ways that defied conventional science. It was as though he was tapping into the very fabric of the universe, communicating with something vast and cosmic. Dr. Chen could feel her scientific worldview beginning to unravel. As her research continued, Dr. Chen realized that this was not just an anomaly. It was a phenomenon, something profound and universal. She was no longer just observing a curious cat with strange behaviors. She was witnessing the unfolding of a mystery that would challenge the very foundations of science. The connection between Schrödinger and the energy of the universe was undeniable. And somewhere in the back of her mind, she couldn't help but think, what if Edgar Cayce had been right all along? Dr. Sarah Chen's skepticism was beginning to fade, replaced by a growing sense of awe and disbelief. The electromagnetic readings she had gathered were beyond anything she had ever imagined. It wasn't just that Schrodinger's presence seemed to influence the energy in her apartment. It was that the patterns were so precise, so purposeful, that they could no longer be dismissed as mere coincidence. The idea that her cat was somehow interacting with quantum fields had moved from a curious anomaly to a scientific revelation. But how and why? Dr. Chen spent countless hours poring over the data, cross-referencing it with the latest research in quantum mechanics and electromagnetic energy. She found that the patterns her devices were picking up resembled the quantum entanglement signatures she had studied in her work. The more she analyzed the data, the more it became clear that Schrödinger was not just a passive observer of the physical world. He was a participant, actively engaging with the fundamental forces that govern the universe. As the weeks went by, Dr. Chen began to connect the dots. Schrödinger was not just affecting the physical energy around her. He was manipulating it in ways that went beyond her comprehension. He seemed to be able to tap into a higher dimensional frequency, one that allowed him to influence the subtle energies of her own consciousness. The electromagnetic patterns were not random. They followed a distinct fractal-like pattern that hinted at an intelligence far more advanced than any cat should possess. And this intelligence was connected to something much larger, something cosmic. Could this be what Edgar Cayce was talking about? Dr. Chen wondered aloud, her voice trembling with a mix of excitement and fear. Could Schrödinger really be a conduit to some kind of cosmic energy? Is he channeling these frequencies to me? The more she investigated, the clearer it became that Schrödinger's presence wasn't just a fluke. His ability to influence her research, to soothe her mind during moments of stress, and to change the very electromagnetic energy in her space was all part of a larger, incomprehensible design. She had always believed in the rational world of science, the predictable, testable world of measurements and equations. But now, she was standing on the precipice of something far more extraordinary, something that defied the very laws of nature as she knew them. But Dr. Chen's findings weren't confined to her own experiences. As news of her research began to circulate, other scientists and pet owners around the world started to report similar phenomena. People with cats were noticing that their pets seemed to have an uncanny ability to sense their emotions, to comfort them in times of distress, or even to help them solve problems they couldn't otherwise crack. Cats weren't just acting as affectionate companions, they were active participants in their humans' emotional and physical well-being. The connection between Schrödinger and the quantum fields he seemed to interact with was no longer an isolated case. It was emerging as part of a larger, global awakening. The idea that cats, and perhaps other animals, could be connected to higher dimensional energy fields was no longer just a speculative theory. It was becoming a reality that even the most hardened skeptics were beginning to acknowledge. In her next experiment, Dr. Chen set up more sophisticated equipment, aiming to measure even subtler forms of energy that might reveal the true extent of Schrödinger's influence. The results were astonishing. The patterns of energy fluctuations during Schrödinger's presence were not just consistent, they were intricately complex, as if they were meant to convey a message, a signal from a dimension beyond human understanding. And then it hit her. The purring. The purring that she had always dismissed as a simple expression of contentment. What if it wasn't just a sound? What if it was a frequency? What if Schrodinger's purring was emitting a kind of harmonic resonance, vibrating at a frequency that resonated with her mind and body, allowing him to help heal her stress, her doubts, and even her scientific struggles? Dr. Chen's heart raced. Could this be the answer? Could Schrodinger's purring be the key to unlocking the mysterious, unseen forces that Cayce had spoken of so many years ago? The pieces were falling into place. With newfound determination, Dr. Chen focused all her energy on understanding the true nature of the energy frequencies that Schrodinger was interacting with. She realized that his purring, operating at precisely 26 hertz, was the frequency that promoted healing and cellular regeneration in humans. This frequency was already known to assist with bone healing and reduce stress. But what if it was also a gateway to something deeper? What if this frequency connected her to the greater universe, allowing her to tap into its cosmic wisdom? The more she thought about it, the more it made sense. Schrodinger wasn't just a cat. He was an interdimensional being, a bridge between the physical world and the unseen dimensions that govern the universe. His purring was not merely a biological function, it was an instrument of cosmic healing. As Dr. Chen sat quietly, her mind racing with these revelations, she felt something shift inside her, an understanding that had eluded her for years. Perhaps Edgar Cayce hadn't been so far off the mark after all. Maybe the cats were more than we had ever imagined. They were the guardians of something far greater, something that transcended the physical world and reached deep into the heart of the universe itself. As Dr. Chen's understanding of Schrodinger's unique abilities deepened, she began to see the world and her work in a completely new light. The more she studied the strange energy fluctuations that occurred when Schrodinger was nearby, the more she realized that his role in her life went far beyond that of a mere companion. He wasn't just offering comfort, he was guiding her, teaching her to tap into something far greater than herself. Schrodinger's purring, once a simple expression of contentment, was now revealed to be a sophisticated cosmic frequency, a vibrational signature that resonated with Dr. Chen's body and mind, unlocking potential she hadn't even known existed. As she sat in her lab, surrounded by the humming of machines and the quiet presence of her cat, Dr. Chen found herself thinking less about the intricacies of quantum mechanics and more about the deeper, unseen forces that shape the universe. But it wasn't just her. As her research on Schrodinger gained attention, similar phenomena were being reported all over the world. Pet owners began to notice that their cats seemed to possess an uncanny ability to sense when they were anxious, stressed, or in pain. And in those moments, the cats would appear, curling up beside them, purring softly, as if to absorb their turmoil and replace it with peace. This wasn't just a matter of comfort. It was something far more profound. The cats were playing an active role in the emotional and spiritual healing of their human companions. In one case, a man in Tokyo, struggling with intense work stress and anxiety, noticed that his cat, a sleek black rescue named Kuro, would position itself between him and his computer screen whenever he was overwhelmed. The moment the cat settled in place, the man felt his stress dissipate, replaced by an unusual calm. Over time, he began to notice his blood pressure normalizing and his sense of anxiety reduced, even though he hadn't undergone any medical treatment. Kuro's presence was not just comforting, it was transformative. In Sao Paulo, Maria Santos had noticed something similar with her elderly tortoiseshell cat, Luna. Maria's grandmother had been suffering from a prolonged illness, and Luna had taken it upon herself to sit by the old woman's bedside for hours every day. The cat would arrive precisely at the moment Maria's grandmother was in the most pain, offering silent company and somehow easing her suffering. When Maria's grandmother passed away, it was in the midst of one of Luna's quiet vigils, a peaceful death that seemed almost guided, an effortless transition between worlds. The family described it as if the cat had somehow orchestrated the moment, ushering her grandmother gently from one plane of existence to the next. These accounts, scattered across the globe, were too numerous and consistent to be dismissed as coincidence. It became clear that something larger was at play. Cats weren't just providing comfort, they were actively participating in the emotional and spiritual well-being of their human companions, guiding them through life's darkest moments. But what was their purpose? What was driving these creatures to do more than simply live alongside us? Dr. Chen's breakthrough came when she realized that these seemingly simple interactions between cats and humans were part of a much larger cosmic design. The frequency of the cat's purring, specifically the 26 Hertz vibration, was not just a soothing mechanism, it was a frequency that operated on the level of human consciousness. It was as if the cats were able to recalibrate the energies around them, harmonizing the chaotic emotional states of their humans, restoring balance and peace. The realization hit Dr. Chen like a wave. Cats, she now understood, were not just companions. They were interdimensional ambassadors. Their ability to heal and comfort was not a random occurrence, but a deeply encoded part of their being, an ancient wisdom passed down through countless generations. These creatures were the silent protectors, standing at the ready to guide humanity through times of spiritual crisis. As she dove deeper into her research, Dr. Chen came to another profound conclusion. This cosmic healing didn't just apply to humans, it was a universal force. Cats were acting as conduits, channeling a greater energy that connected all living beings. By interacting with the electromagnetic fields around them, they were helping to maintain a balance in the world, guiding souls back to peace, reestablishing harmony in times of chaos, and ultimately ensuring that humanity stayed connected to the greater cosmic design. The more Dr. Chen thought about it, the more she began to understand that the cats had always been here for a reason. They had been placed in our lives by forces far beyond our comprehension, and their seemingly simple acts of affection, curling up by our sides, purring softly, offering their comfort, were in fact part of an ancient divine mission. They were not just pets, they were cosmic healers, helping us navigate the chaotic energies of the modern world and reminding us of our deeper connection to the universe. The revelations were coming faster now, one after another, as if the universe itself were unfolding before Dr. Sarah Chen. The more she studied Schrödinger's behavior, the more she realized the staggering implications of what she was witnessing. It wasn't just Schrödinger. Cats across the world were participating in something vast and cosmic, something that could no longer be explained by the boundaries of conventional science. As she sat in her quiet lab, the hum of machines in the background, Dr. Chen felt a profound sense of clarity. The connection between the cats and the cosmic energy fields wasn't just a random phenomenon. It was a divine orchestration, an ancient design. And the more she understood, the more she recognized that these creatures had been sent into our lives not by accident, but by a higher intelligence to fulfill a mission that had been set in motion long before any of us were born. Dr. Chen began to piece together the truth that Edgar Cayce had long ago predicted. The cats were here to guide us through the spiritual awakening of humanity. Their role was not passive, but active, protecting, healing, and balancing our energies, especially during times of immense upheaval. They weren't just companions, they were guardians of our souls, placed in our lives to help us remember who we are and what we are capable of. They were the silent witnesses to the human experience, standing as sentinels at the gates of our awareness, waiting for the moment when we would finally awaken to their true purpose. It was humbling, the realization that these creatures, who had so long been regarded as aloof or independent, were in fact playing an integral role in the unfolding of human consciousness. They were the quiet healers, operating on a level so deep, so subtle, that few of us ever took the time to notice. The act of simply being near them, feeling the gentle vibration of their purring, was not just comforting, it was transformative. Dr. Chen's thoughts wandered to the many instances she had experienced with Schrödinger, the times he had appeared by her side just when she needed him the most, the way his purring had soothed her when the weight of her research felt overwhelming. And it wasn't just her. The stories were countless. Pet owners across continents sharing similar experiences of profound comfort and healing through their cats. These weren't isolated incidents. They were part of a global cosmic pattern. Cats, she now understood, were acting as cosmic anchors, helping to stabilize humanity's collective energy, especially as the world faced unprecedented challenges. It was as though the universe had a plan, a design that was so intricate, so beautifully crafted, that it had gone unnoticed for centuries. The cat, with all its mystery and magic, was at the center of this plan. It was a living conduit between the physical world and the unseen realms. And as Dr. Chen looked at Schrödinger, who lay curled up beside her, his soft purring filling the room, she couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude and awe. This was more than just a scientific discovery. It was a spiritual awakening. Cats were not just pets. They were guardians of our souls, protectors of our energy, and guides through the ever-changing currents of existence. They were here to help us through the tumultuous waters of human experience, offering their presence and their love as a reminder that we are not alone. Dr. Chen realized that the time had come for humanity to awaken to this truth. We had been living in a state of spiritual amnesia, disconnected from the larger cosmic design, lost in the noise of modern life. But the cats, these simple, beautiful creatures, were here to help us remember, to help us reconnect with the very essence of our being, with the universe itself. Their mission was to remind us of the love that connects all things, to ground us in the healing energy that flows through the cosmos, and to guide us toward a future where we could finally live in harmony with the world around us. As the sun began to set outside her lab, casting a warm golden glow across the room, Dr. Chen understood. The prophecy was true. Edgar Cayce had seen this moment coming long before. The cats were the guardians of our souls, and they had been with us all along. The time had come to awaken to their true purpose, and in doing so, awaken to our own. As the final pieces of the puzzle clicked into place, Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the precipice of a revelation that would forever change the way she viewed the world. The data, the stories, the experiences, everything pointed to the same conclusion. The cats, these silent and often mysterious creatures, were not just animals. They were divine sentinels, guardians of the human soul, protectors sent to help guide humanity through the tumultuous journey of spiritual awakening. In her heart, Dr. Chen felt an overwhelming sense of humility. She had spent her life studying the measurable, the tangible, the logical. But now she saw that there was so much more, an intricate web of cosmic energy connecting all living beings, one that science had yet to fully understand. Cats, in all their quiet grace, were the keepers of this energy, bridging the physical and spiritual worlds, standing as sentinels at the threshold between the known and the unknown. The realization that Edgar Cayce had spoken the truth all those years ago filled Dr. Chen with awe. The cats had always been here, working in the background, their presence guiding humanity when we needed it the most. Their gentle purrs were not just sounds. They were vibrations that resonated with the deepest parts of our being, healing our bodies and souls in ways that defied explanation. Cats were more than just companions. They were cosmic healers sent by forces greater than we could ever comprehend. And now, as the world faced its greatest spiritual crisis, it was time for humanity to awaken, to recognize the true role of these creatures in our lives. The time had come to understand that the love and connection we shared with our pets were not random, but part of a grand cosmic design. The cats were here to remind us that love was the most powerful force in the universe, able to heal, guide, and protect us even in our darkest moments. Dr. Chen looked down at Schrödinger, the cat who had led her through this journey of discovery. With a soft purr, he curled up beside her, as if to say that his work was done. But she knew that the work of the cats was not finished. It had only just begun. As the world moved forward, humanity stood at a crossroads. The challenges ahead would be great, but the cats would remain by our side, helping us navigate the complexities of the modern world, ensuring that we stayed connected to the cosmic rhythms of the universe. The cats were not just here to live with us, they were here to save us. And so, the prophecy that had been whispered through the ages was fulfilled. The guardians had arrived, not with grand fanfare, but with gentle purrs and knowing eyes. They had always been here, guiding us in silence, waiting for the moment when we would finally understand their true purpose. The time had come for humanity to awaken, to see the cats for what they truly were, our protectors, our healers, and our guides through the cosmic journey of life.